Good afternoon. Welcome to how to edit Wikipedia and help improve representation online. There is a chat window that you can make use of to ask questions, where I've also put a link to my email and the project page for the Wikimedia residency at the University of Edinburgh. My name's Ewan McAndrew, and I work as the Wikimedian here at the university. And it is a free resource available to staff and students and who are interested to learn a bit more about how to contribute to and how to benefit from the free and open Wikimedia projects. Now, I've just thought I'd sort of say hello at the start and have my camera on, but I'm going to just stop sharing my camera because I'm not sure my bandwidth is going to cope at the moment. So I'm just going to share my slides and I'll come back on if there's questions at the end. Okay, but feel free to post in the chat if you have questions. But my role here today is to explain a little about what I do at the University of Edinburgh and why we think there's a role for Wikimedia in teaching and learning. And you can find out a bit more about the work we're doing at the University of Edinburgh with Wikipedia by typing Wikipedia : University of Edinburgh in the search bar of any Wikipedia page on English Wikipedia. So Wikipedia : University of Edinburgh. But essentially, we're here to raise awareness of Wikipedia and its sister projects, and to design and deliver digital skills, engagement events, and just to work with colleagues across the whole of the university to see areas where we can derive mutual benefit for students, for staff, and for the Wikipedia global open knowledge community. I guess the first reaction might be to this that, cool, what's Wikipedia got to do with universities? And I think we just need to have a think for a moment. What is the link between Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, and universities? But how about shared vision and mission statements, where we at the university have as our mission the creation, curation, and dissemination of knowledge, where the non-profit organization Wikimedia, which looks after Wikipedia and its sister projects, their vision is to imagine a world in which every single human being can freely share in the sum of all knowledge. And that's our commitment at Wikimedia. So the work that we do at the university is all about finding that common ground, collaborating to share knowledge openly. But it's also, we're looking at the digital skills aspect because there's umpteen different reports that recognize that digital capabilities are a key component for future graduate employability, and supporting learning good habits and good digital research skills and being able to synthesize information and then communicating it rapidly in a rapidly changing digital world. That's a really important thing for us to be working on at the university. So digital skills, but also it's thinking about how we engage with Wikipedia in terms of critically analyzing how information gets online. The organization that is the professional body for librarians and information practitioners has as its definition of information literacy, it defines information literacy as thinking critically and making balanced judgments about information and empowering us as citizens to reach and express informed views and to engage fully with society. And after we've worked with Wikipedia for the last 4.5 years at the university, our academic support librarians have said that they think working with Wikipedia, understanding how information gets into Wikipedia, can help achieve a more nuanced and informed sense of information literacy. But it's also about engaging and understanding the relationship we have with the open web and how people create, curate, and contest knowledge online more generally, and our relationship with these big digital companies like Facebook, like Google, like Amazon, and like Wikipedia. And you might agree, maybe you do, maybe you don't, about the idea that Facebook defines who we are, Amazon defines what we want, and Google defines what we think. Because Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg may downplay Facebook's role as arbiters of truth, just as Google downplay their role of controllers of what they call the library card catalog, but both represent the preeminent gatekeepers to knowledge in the information age. We use information online. How much do we understand about how that information gets online? Because search is the way we live now. And a study came out recently that said Google depends on Wikipedia, where click-through rates decreased by 80% if links to Wikipedia were removed. And similarly, the study also found that Wikipedia depends on Google, where 84.5% of visits to Wikipedia came through Google. And Google processed 90.8% of searches internationally. And it also has this funneling effect where the sources that it clicks on, the pages that are clicked on, are reduced to the first page of results 90% of the time, with a 42% click-through rate on that first choice alone. So getting into Google's top hits is really important. And Wikipedia is privileged in this way because its information is seen as neutral, often quite well fact-checked, but it's open licensed, so that information spreads throughout the internet. And what is right or wrong or missing from Wikipedia spreads throughout the internet and affects the whole internet. And Wikipedia has become massively important in the last few months in particular, as people have had to stay home more and had to home educate more, as everyone worldwide has wanted access to non-partisan, up-to-date information, whether it is about coronavirus or whether it is about protests for Black Lives Matter. People have wanted a platform that gives them access to information in a localized and worldwide context that is both up-to-date and neutrally written. And Wikipedia has become that space. When you think of it as just an interesting place, you might have just thought of it as an interesting place to look things up occasionally. Well, now it's become a platform where people are going to it more than ever before. And there was a day at the end of March 29th, where across all the different Wikipedia language editions, there were 650 million page views, which is an absolutely staggering figure. And it became the second most viewed website in the world. So rather than think about Wikipedia as something that is passively consumed and something to be consumed at your peril, we should really spin it on its head. It's what you can also contribute as an institution, as staff and students, and get from that teaching and learning experience as a result. Wikipedia is learning technology, and it's the largest open knowledge resource in human history, with over 50 million articles that are free and open and that anyone can contribute to. And it's never been easier to contribute to Wikipedia now either. With Wikipedia's now what you see is what you get visual editor, which makes editing much more like using Microsoft Word or WordPress blogs through its easy to use drop-down menus and automatic citation generator, where citations can be generated easily and automatically from a URL web link, a journal DOI code, or a book's ISBN number. Now aged 19 years old, Wikipedia is no longer the bane of teachers or librarians. It's now among the world's top 10 sites for scholarly resource lookups, and it is used extensively by virtually every platform that you use on a daily basis, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Google. They're all making use of Wikipedia. So it receives over 500 million views per month from 1.5 billion unique devices. And quite literally, it's the gateway through which millions of people now seek access to knowledge. And importantly, it's ruthlessly transparent, where every edit is recorded in permanent links in the edit history of the page. So every edit can be checked, challenged, and corrected if need be, where there are bots that patrol for predictable vandalism and revert pages back to their last good state immediately where they see such a harmful edit. But pages are also monitored and curated by various groups of volunteer editors, whether it be Wiki Project Novels or Wiki Project Medicine or Wiki Project Black Lives Matter. Importantly, a couple of studies have found that only 7% of edits could be considered vandalism, and a more recent study by University of Glasgow researchers found that about 90% of vandalism or foul edits were reverted or changed back within 5 minutes on average. At the University of Edinburgh, we want to encourage you that you can help shape and improve pages. You can create new pages with just 50 words or more backed up by 3 or more reliable sources. You can translate pages. You can improve existing pages, copy editing them, adding an image, adding links to and from other pages to aid discoverability, adding citations to improve verifiability, adding new sections and new paragraphs, and curating the content with navigation boxes. You can join different wiki projects like Wiki Project Women Scientists, or Wiki Project Novels, or Wiki Project Scotland. There are 2,000 of them with volunteer editors that you can help curate the content on Wikipedia that much better. And you can attend an editing event, become a part of a supportive and social community, online or in person. We've done both. Or you can suggest a collaboration yourself. And this is what we mean when we're talking about navigation boxes. You can pull together whole areas of Wikipedia, like these articles on women suffragettes in Scotland. Many of these articles on these Scottish suffragettes didn't exist until our volunteer editors created them. But we also created this navigation box to put at the foot of their pages. And navigation box can pull together whole areas of Wikipedia, making it much more easy to navigate between different pages. And the pages on Black Lives Matter have about 5 different navigation boxes on at the foot of the table. And you can create these navigation boxes yourself to help pull together these whole areas of Wikipedia. We've worked with about a dozen different course programs over the last 4.5 years. Reproductive biology, world Christianity, translation studies, masters in public health students, adding 200 words to global health related topics every year, data science with Wikidata, global health challenges online and digital education masters online. We could do group tasks, individual tasks, paired tasks. And students are making a difference. A reproductive biology student in her final year wrote an article on high-grade serous carcinoma, one of the most common and most deadly forms of ovarian cancer. And it didn't have an article on Wikipedia until she wrote it. And it includes over 60 references and has now been viewed over 100,000 times since it was published in September 2016. So she's plugging a gap on Wikipedia with her own scholarship as part of her course, and even including open license diagrams too. And it's not just within the curriculum, we've worked with student societies as well, such as Women in STEM, and also worked with translation, law and technology, history societies, Welcome Kings, and we've held events for Ada Lovelace Day, LGBT History Month, Black History Month, Mental Health Awareness Week, and celebrated Edinburgh's global alumni, working with the Uncover Ed project, the MasterCard Scholars Foundation, and the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission as well. Students at the University of Edinburgh have helped us address serious knowledge gaps and have been intrinsically motivated to do so, to communicate their scholarship because of this. They benefit from the practice academically and as part of their professional development, and they report that they enjoy doing it personally because their scholarship is published, lasting long beyond the assignment, and does something for the common good, for an audience of not one, but millions. But why engage at all? I think we know that representation matters and that gender inequality generally, but also particularly in science and technology, is all too real. Wiki Project Women in Red editors around the world have created 1,000 to 2,000 new biographies of notable women missing from Wikipedia every single month for the last 3 years. This focused attention on creating new biographies has moved the percentage of biographies in the right direction, but only up from 15%. So we're increasing the number of biographies of notable women on Wikipedia by 1% a year. So there's still lots more to do. Dr. Jess Wade at Imperial College London has done lots to raise awareness of this issue through writing a new Wikipedia page every day about inspirational women in STEM, in science, in technology, engineering and maths, and was recognized by Nature as one of the top 10 people who mattered in 2018 for her championing of diversity in STEM. Gaps in our shared knowledge exclude the vitally important contributions of many within our community, and role models, trailblazers are important. You can't be what you can't see, and to date, 65% of our participating editors at the University of Edinburgh have been women, and the choices being made in creating new pages and increasing the visibility of topics and the visibility of inspirational role models online can not only help shape public understanding around the world for the better, but also help inform and shape our physical environments to help inspire the next generation, where we have less pale, male and stale university environments. So we could have more rooms named after inspirational women, more portraits after inspirational women, and our global alumni also. So Wikipedia in the curriculum, or just working with Wikipedia more generally at the university, involves identifying reliable secondary sources we can cite, or sometimes the lack thereof, and discussing whose knowledge, open access, bias, neutral point of view, and writing for a lay audience and copyright. These are all absolutely appropriate for the modern graduate. The skills needed by those contributing to Wikimedia are the same digital literacy skills which a degree at the university is designed to develop. Those of critical reading, summarizing, paraphrasing, original writing, referencing, citing, publishing, data handling, and understanding your audience. In this era of fake news, it has never been more important that we, as staff and students, understand how information is published, shared, and contested online. And beyond that, feel empowered that we can do something positive to share fact-check knowledge and help build global understanding of our disciplines. So don't cite Wikipedia, help write it. Because it's an emotional connection. And this is something one of our editors has said when they wrote about one of the first female undergraduates to graduate in the UK, the Edinburgh 7. Within, I'd say, less than 2 hours of me putting her page in place, it was the top hit that came back in Google. And I thought, that's it. That's impact right there. So just to come back, things can look bleak at times. A year ago or more, Tim Berners-Lee was on Channel 4's New, being interviewed about Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, and he said this: we need to rethink our attitude to the internet. It's not enough to keep the web open and free, because we must also keep track of what people are building on it. Look at the systems that people are using, like the social networks, and look at whether they are actually helping humanity. Are they being constructive, or are they being destructive? So constructive or destructive. And he's later reiterated this point, that he felt that the open web and the internet was at something of a crossroads and could go either way. Happily, he cheered up when he was giving his Turing Award lecture in May 2018. And he said that it is amazing that humanity has managed to produce Wikipedia. And you know what? For all the defending of the open net and the open web, it would have been worth it if we just got Wikipedia. And he's right. It is amazing that humanity has produced Wikipedia. That's my experience. The research, the feedback from staff and students all bear this out. People do feel they are doing something inherently good and worthwhile in sharing fact-checked, verifiable, open knowledge. And they learn so much from engaging in this process and become knowledge activists. So I commend it to you as something you can explore critically and feel empowered that you, during your time here at the university, you can make a difference here to the knowledge that is shared openly and globally, because it truly is a hugely impactful way of an impactful form of learning technology that you can use and contribute to as part of your learning. And it doesn't have to be just writing whole pages or spending an afternoon working with pages. You can do little small micro edits. You can we have developed this site called Wiki Games that has wiki races, and you can add citations with the citation hunt tool. You can create visually dynamic timelines of articles, like painters or 20th century conflicts. These timelines can be generated in minutes using Histopedia, and you can also share images of listed buildings and monuments. And there is a competition right now called Wiki Loves Monuments that runs for the whole month of September. And there is a map that you can have a look at that shows you all the places in Edinburgh or anywhere close to you where there is a listed building or a scheduled monument that doesn't have an open image. And for example, there's an Edinburgh Castle's military prison, is a category B listed building, and you can walk around, take a picture on your phone or with a proper camera, and you can upload this picture and know that your image will be shared openly for others to use and to help illustrate Wikipedia articles. And it helps document our cultural heritage online. The tool I'll add to the chat, but feel free to, if there are any questions you will like to find out a bit more about. And I'll stop there. Thanks for listening.